Okay, let's just dive right in. If you're a leader, you've probably heard this before. You might have even said it yourself. We don't need AI. And, it usually comes from a good place, right? You're trying to protect quality, stick to your principles. But today, we're going to dig into why that one little sentence might actually be hurting you and your team way more than you realize.
So we're kicking things off with this because it really gets to the core of the issue. This isn't about scaring you or jumping on some hype train. It's about getting real. Because what feels like a strong, principled stand today can, and often does, become a massive disadvantage tomorrow.
And that leads us to the big question we're tackling. Is saying no to this huge tech shift a flex, a sign of strong leadership? Or is it actually a flaw, a blind spot that could seriously hold you back?
Look, nobody is saying you have to fall in love with every new shiny object that comes along. That's not what this is about. But here's the thing. When we deliberately ignore tools that could genuinely help, all we're really doing is choosing to make our own lives and our team's lives harder than they need to be.
This brings us right to the hidden costs of just standing still. Because doing nothing isn't a neutral choice. It has real consequences, and the tricky part is they often pile up unseen until it's a little too late.
We tell ourselves a story, don't we? The myth is, I'm being principled, I'm protecting quality. But what's the reality? Well, the reality is we might just be wasting the one thing we can never, ever get back, and that's time. And maybe even worse, we risk becoming totally disconnected from where our work, our industry, and the entire world is heading.
And let's be real honest for a second. This is the part a lot of leaders miss. Your decision to do nothing doesn't actually stop AI from coming into your organization. It's already there. People on your team are using stuff like ChatGPT, not because they're trying to be sneaky, but because they're trying to do their jobs better and faster. They're tired of the friction. If you're not in on that conversation, you're already behind.
To make this all feel a little less, abstract, let's try an analogy we've all lived through. Do you remember when you got your very first smartphone? Or maybe the first time you used a GPS instead of fumbling with a giant paper map?
This journey is pretty much universal, isn't it? It always starts with resistance. Nah, I don't need that thing. Then, curiosity starts to creep in. I wonder, how could this actually help me out? And then, before you know it, that tool is absolutely essential, and you're sitting there thinking, how did I ever live without this? The argument here is that AI is on that exact same track.
Okay, now let's completely reframe this whole thing. Probably the biggest myth about AI is that it's all about cutting costs and replacing people. But the real opportunity here is about making work more human, not less.
I want you to think about it like this. AI isn't hype, it's leverage. It's a tool that amplifies what humans can do. The goal isn't to get rid of your team's unique talents. It's to free them from the junk work so they can spend more time doing the high-impact, creative, meaningful stuff they're actually great at.
So what's the actual end goal? What does this look like? Imagine a workday with less of that soul-crushing busy work, less frustration, fewer bottlenecks holding everything up. That's what we're talking about. When you use it right, AI can unlock more time for focus, and with that, more meaning in the work we all do. Okay, so this all sounds good in theory, but where on earth do you actually start? Well, the good news is you don't need to become an AI expert by tomorrow. The way forward is actually way simpler than you might think.
Seriously, the path is surprisingly simple. It just starts with 3 really low-stakes steps. First, just start the conversation. Just open the door and talk about it. Second, ask your team a simple question. What parts of your job are just frustrating or slow you down? And third, based on what they tell you, test one small thing together. This isn't about some massive, scary overhaul. It's about starting small, collaborative experiments.
So, let's wrap it up with this. The future of how we work is being built as we speak, with or without us. The choice isn't about being forced to use something you don't like. It's about choosing to be part of the team that's building it. So the real question to ask yourself is, are you in the conversation, or are you just watching from the sidelines?